Good morning, everybody. Morning. Lovely to see so many people here this morning. I must admit, it's 7 o'clock this morning when the alarm went off to be here. I didn't really particularly want to be here at 9. But nice to see so many people here for breakfast this morning. Hope you're enjoying the delights. Thank you very much to Peter and Ruth for sorting out all the food and the decorations. Looks really lovely in here. And thank you to all their impromptu young helpers for getting out teas and coffees and serving you food and whatever. So thank you very much for all that stuff. Brilliant. Right, welcome to the Jubilee celebration this morning. Nice to see people here, as I've said. I've got a bit of a video to show to start off with. It's actually a video from the company that we are now using for our junior church resources, Energize, and it just summarises a little bit of who the Queen is, what her coronation was all about, and I actually learned more from it than I did from the news. So although it's meant to be for children, it's actually quite informal as well. So can we watch the first video, please, Craig? Thank you.
2022 marks the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, a celebration of her 70-year reign. Queen Elizabeth II became Queen in 1952, aged just 25 years old. She is Britain's longest-serving monarch. The Queen was born on April 21st in 1926. When she was 10, her uncle, King Edward VIII, abdicated, and her father became King George VI. In 1947, the Queen married Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, and they were married for 73 years until his death in 2021. The Queen has 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. She has seen 15 Prime Ministers come and go. Although the Queen is over 90, she still works many hours each week. She is consistently kind, hard-working, and respectful. She bestows honour on those who make great contributions to society, but she also pays tribute to ordinary people whose work goes unseen and unrewarded. The Queen does her duty to her country cheerfully and faithfully. The Queen is also a Christian and has always been open about her faith. 6 months before her coronation, she asked the people of the Commonwealth and United Kingdom to pray for her, that God may give me wisdom and strength to carry out the solemn promises I shall be making, and that I may faithfully serve Him and you all the days of my life. God has answered these prayers over the last 70 years, throughout much tragedy and change, including her children's divorces, the death of her former daughter-in-law, Diana, Princess of Wales, and the death of her husband, Prince Philip. Throughout all these trials, the Queen's Christian faith in Jesus has kept her going. In her 2002 Christmas Day broadcast, she said, "I know just how much I rely on my faith to guide me through the good times and the bad. Each day is a new beginning. I draw strength from the message of hope in the Christian gospel." In 2014, she called Jesus her inspiration, role model, and anchor, who stretched out his hands in love, acceptance, and healing on the cross. Jesus is the King of all kings and queens, the ruler, reigner, and creator of the whole world, yet he came to serve, not be served. In 2011, the Queen spoke of our need for salvation from our recklessness and our greed. God sent into the world a unique person, neither a philosopher nor a general, important though they are, but a saviour with the power to forgive. Her faith has shaped everything she has done over the last 70 years of her reign. So as we celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, we honour her for the past 70 years of service devoted to both her country and God, and we thank Jesus, the King of all, for our Queen who serves her King.
And as they were mentioning the King, I thought it would be really great to sing King of Kings. If you've got a mouthful of food, don't worry about singing, just listen. But you can stand, you can sit, you can do what you like. But we're going to sing King of Kings, and then we'll carry on with something else after that. Thank you.
His Majesty, God of heaven, living in me, gentle Savior, closest friend, strong deliverer, beginning and end. All within me falls at your throne, your majesty. I can but bow, I lay my all before you now. In royal robes I don't deserve, I live to serve your majesty. Earth and heaven worship you. Love eternal, faithful and true, who bought the nations, ransomed souls, brought this sinner near to your throne. All within me cries out in praise, your majesty. I can but bow, I lay my all before you now. In royal robes I don't deserve, I live to serve your majesty. I can but bow, I lay my all before you now. In royal robes I don't deserve, I live to serve your majesty. I live to serve your majesty.
Wonderful, thank you. There is more food at the back, so if you want to go and get some more, don't worry about me blathering on. Just go and help yourself to some more. There's still some people out there help to serve you, so if you want some more, please do go and get it. Right, so in 1952, Princess Elizabeth became Queen on the 6th of February. Craig and I were watching something a few days ago when she flew off to Kenya with her husband, and at the time her dad was out at the airport, and we both said, oh, he knew that he wouldn't see her again. The look in his eye as he waved her off, we said, oh, I think he knew. I don't know that, but we both said, I think at this point he knows that this is it. She's going to be Queen on her return. It wasn't until a year later, in the 2nd of June 1953, that she was crowned. I set this challenge to my class. Why do you think it took so long? And then I was watching a programme yesterday about the organisation of the coronation. It was a bit like an organised ballet, it was described as. This person knew exactly where everybody was going to be at the right time, so it took a lot of organisation. Apparently, 27 million people watched the coronation on their televisions, on their black and white TVs, and there were 3 million people who lined the streets ready to see Her Majesty ride past to her coronation. Now, a bit of context into what was happening over the years and the changes that the Queen has seen. So in the 1950s, not very many people owned a car. Young people, you probably can't imagine that, not very many people owning a car. You either walked or you rode your bike. I'm sure Ken and Phyllis, you had to tell us more about how they got around in the 50s. Did you walk everywhere? Ride your horse? Bicycle? Yeah. If you wanted to go somewhere, you had to ride your bike. You didn't just get in a car. Apparently, the washing machine was becoming more commonplace in people's homes. People were just starting to buy their first washing machine, so they didn't have to do it by hand. And everybody danced to rock and roll music. We've listened to some of that this morning as we came in. In the 60s, things changed. People from other countries started arriving into the UK to work. We won the World Cup for the first and only time. Man landed on the moon. We sent someone to the moon. I don't know if we've been back, but we got there apparently for the first time in the 60s. Into the 70s, the Queen travelled to Australia and New Zealand for the first time. Up until then, travel that far wasn't really very accessible. So it wasn't until the 70s she travelled to Australia and New Zealand. Punk was all the fashion, big spiky hair was going on in the 70s. In the 80s, we had our first female Prime Minister, the much loved by some Margaret Thatcher. In the 90s, the internet was invented. Kids, can you imagine life without the internet? That was only invented in the 90s. That seems like a way away for you, but that's only like last year for me. The internet was invented in the 90s. Computers became more commonplace. You had to have like a great big box sat on a desk. And if you wanted to use the internet, you had to press a button and listen to this sound for about 10 minutes before you could actually get on the internet. It wasn't as quick as just press a button and there you are. In the 2000s, the Harry Potter films were released and people started to talk on social media. In the 2010s, the Queen appeared at the Olympics on the opening ceremony with James Bond and some of her corgis along beside her. I don't know if anybody watched the Platinum celebration last night and saw the Queen with Paddington Bear and doing "We Will Rock You" on her china teacup. Amazing. She's really up for a laugh. In the 2020s, we've had COVID. We've had lockdowns. The Queen delivered her first Easter message, which 24 million people watched. All weekend, in the last few weeks, all you've heard about the Queen is her service, how she served her people. The Evening Standard said, "Example of service we could all learn from." The Telegraph, an example of duty and service. The Archbishop of Wales, her long reign and her dedicated service she has given to the UK and the Commonwealth. On her 21st birthday, she said, "I declare before you that my whole life, whether it be long or short, be devoted to your service." So what service does she provide? She's the head of state, which means when she travels abroad, she represents the rest of us, the whole of the UK. She's the head of our nation. So she attends events, awards, she gives a Christmas message to us. She's the head of the Commonwealth, 54 countries, and she's visited almost all of them. She's the head of the church. She's the head of the armed forces. She has constitutional responsibilities like opening Parliament. She has to stamp any of any new laws. She has a weekly meeting with the Prime Minister, lucky old Queen. She's the patron of charities. Over 300 charities across the royal family. In 2019 alone, the royal family carried out 3,567 royal engagements, many of these supporting charities. But most important to the Queen is her service to God. In 2014 even, the Queen said in her Christmas message, "For me, the life of Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, whose birth we celebrate today, is an inspiration and anchor in my life, a role model of reconciliation and forgiveness. He stretched out his hands in love, acceptance and healing. Christ's example has taught me to seek, to respect and value all people of whatever faith or none." In 2012, she highlighted her Christmas time is when we remember God sent his only son to serve and not be served. To serve, not to be served. She went on, "He restored love and service to the centre of our lives and the person of Jesus Christ." I don't know if you watched the Thanksgiving service on Saturday when the Archbishop of York related the Queen to her racing experiences and her love of horses. I managed to find a quote of what he said. "It is well known that Her Majesty likes horse racing. I don't have any great tips for the Derby tomorrow, but since the scriptures describe life as a race set before us, let me observe that her long reign reflects the distance of Aintree more than the sprints of Epsom. Certainly less dressage than most people might imagine. But with endurance, through times of change and challenge, joy and sorrow, she continues to offer herself in the service of our country and Commonwealth. Your Majesty, we're sorry you can't be with us this morning in person, but you are still in the saddle, and we are all glad there is still more to come. So, thank you for staying the course. Thank you for continuing to be faithful to the pledges you made 70 years ago. Thank you for showing us how service and faithfulness matter. People of all faiths or none can learn from this. In Romans 12, verses 16 to 13, we are told, in his grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If you're gifted to encourage others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. And if you have the gift to show kindness to others, do it gladly. Don't just pretend to love others, really love them. Hate what is wrong. Hold tightly to what is good. Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honouring each other. Never be lazy, but work hard and serve the Lord enthusiastically. Rejoice in our confident hope, be patient in trouble, and keep on praying. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. So what can we learn from the Queen's service? She has served us and so many for so well over such a long time. On your tables, you should find a copy of the 70 Acts of Service. I've put one on each table. If we need more, we can do more copies. But I thought, wouldn't it be great as a church, in this year of the Queen's service and celebrating her and her 70 years, if we could serve our communities and the people around us in 70 different ways? Now, this list is quite expansive. Some of these things are quite easy to do. Some of them take a little bit more thinking, a bit more planning. But I'll just read the first 5 for you that are really quite simple. Think of an everyday item that's in good condition. Find a recipient and give it away. An umbrella, some hand cream or something. Number 2, drop a small card to a hidden hero and let them know they're noticed. Number 3, clean the sink in your school, your home, your office, your staff room. Children, you could do this one. You could clean the sink at home. Number 4, how often do you say hi to your neighbours? Take a moment where you meet and spend time to get to know them a little more. Already know them well? Invite them in for a coffee or offer them a meal. Number 5, find out how to volunteer for a local cause you love. Too shy? Volunteer with a friend. They're quite simple, but they could make such a great difference. So please, take a copy of these home. If you want some more, we will photocopy some more. I didn't do too many because it's quite a lot of pages. I'm going to see if I can upload the link to these onto the Facebook page and onto our church website if I can get hold of the website person. So I'll upload a link, have a look through them. There's then a copy of them out in the entrance area. If you do one of these 70 acts of service, come back to church next week and tick it off. And then let's see if by the end of the year, as a whole church, we can have completed all 70 tasks and served the people in our community in 70 different ways. Now this year, as a remembrance for the Queen, and the word's gone from me. Anyway, Graham Kendrick and Wren Collective and some others have come up with a new anthem for the Queen. I'm not terribly struck on it, I must be honest. But it's quite a nice little catchy tune, and it's all about the Queen's service. So let's listen to the new anthem, and then I'll tell you the answers to the quizzes. So if you haven't finished, have a little finish of your quiz while you're listening to the video. Can I have the next video, please?
In this glorious year of the Jubilee, we give thanks for Her Majesty. In honor of the faithful hearts who chose to serve and to play her parts. Many nations have gathered here. From the mountain heights let the song ring clear, celebrating the answered call, blessed with bread and sacred oil. Rise up and serve is the call we hear, with hope in our hearts, joining as one, making history. Let fanfare sound through this Jubilee. Rise up and serve, thanking God for Her Majesty. May God's good grace be upon her now, to complete the task and fulfill her vow. May the trust in Christ she has held so long be the truth that burns brightly on. Rise up and serve is the call we hear, with hope in our hearts, joining as one, making history. Let fanfare sound through this Jubilee. Rise up and serve, thanking God for Her Majesty. One hope, one vision, on many tongues, one song. From east to west, let's keep it burning on. Rise up, come on and rise up, in this year of Jubilee. Rise up, come on and rise up, celebration time is here. Jubilee is coming, everyone is singing. Rise up and greet the dawn. The Jubilee is coming, everyone is singing. Let's keep it burning, keep it burning on. Rise up and serve is the call we hear, with hope in our hearts, joining as one, making history. Let fanfare sound through this Jubilee. Oh, rise up and serve, thanking God for Her Majesty.
Right, how are you getting on with your quizzes? Anybody think they've got 20 out of 20? Anyone really confident? You're really confident, Seb? I'm afraid there's no prize for the most points. I forgot to bring a prize. I have got a box of leftover chocolates from Christmas and Easter in my house, but they're all the ones that people don't really like, so I didn't think I'd chuck them at you. Bounties, Snickers, yeah, like the hazelnut whirl things from Roses, they're all the disgusting ones. Right, shall we see what the answers are? Lily has helped me put this quiz together with some help from her learning at school. So, yeah, let's see how we got. All right, so there we go. Number one's already up there. So, number one, how many corgis has the Queen owned? 30, apparently.
Over her reign.
Over her reign, not just herself. 30. Right, number two. Now, I didn't know the answer to number 2 when I was doing this because Lily knew this one. So, Lily, what is the answer?
It's C.
C.
1,600.
1,600. The Queen is quite good at racing. She's got a...
Yeah.
It's along those lines. Yeah, I didn't get the answer. Sorry. Right, hang on, not yet, dear. Right, the Queen is allowed to eat starchy foods like potatoes and pasta. What do you think? False.
It's correct.
It is false. Now, we've just had a discussion on this about 2 minutes ago. So she probably is allowed to, but she chooses not to. Lily informs me it's a royal rule that she's made. She's not allowed to eat starchy food, and neither is anyone else. So we're having a bit of a disagreement about this ourselves, but apparently the answer is A. Right, what is the age of the Queen? Young people, do you know this one? 96, so A. Well done. How many grandchildren does she have? If you were watching the video at the start, I told you how many grandchildren she had. How many grandchildren does she have? 8. Yes, the answer is B. Good, good. In what month was the Queen born? April. Good. Yep. B. Excellent. I'm glad I got the right answers up there. Good. How many prime ministers has she served under? Now, I got a different answer to what the video said earlier, actually. So, what do people reckon to the nearest number? So we've got it down as 14 as B. The video told us 15. They've obviously added somebody on that wasn't on the quiz that I was taking this from. So B is the answer. In what year did the Queen become the longest reigning UK monarch? This caused some discussion, I heard. 2018, any advances on 18? 15, any advances on 15? It was 2015, yeah, A, 2015. The Queen's childhood home has been turned into what? Fish and chips and Chinese restaurants. Yeah. Yeah, it's been turned into a Chinese restaurant. You can do the next page, right? Do the next page. Yeah, right. Number 10. The Queen loves horse racing, but she also loves to race what?
Pigeons.
Pigeons, yeah, A, pigeons. Good. How did the Queen pay for her wedding dress? What's this? Yeah, B, coupons from her clothes ration book. Yeah, her clothing book. Right, Lily's going to take on. Go on, I'll get you.
Number 12, which was,
Just keep going.
what did young Elizabeth call her grandfather, King George V?
Yeah.
Yep, A, C is
Let's
correct.
see. Grandpa England.
I don't know why that one's in lowercase and the rest of them
I
are
don't
in
know.
uppercase.
Keep going.
13, which
Which nation?
Which nation presented the Queen with a pair of sloths in 1968?
Malaysia, hang on, what is that? I've forgotten the answer actually. Oh yeah, no, Brazil.
Brazil.
Brazil,
Very
apparently.
surprising.
Brazil.
Number 14, which food is a no-no for the Queen?
Another food one.
Another food one.
Go on.
It's B, which is garlic.
Yep, garlic. Doesn't eat garlic.
This is slightly funny.
Yeah, this is a funny one.
Yeah. During the coronation ceremony, the monarch is appointed with oils of oranges, roses, cinnamon, musk, and what?
What else?
Whale poo. Yeah, whale poo. On tour, the Queen travels with her
Own transfusible blood.
bottled water and what else? Toilet roll.
Takes her own toilet rolls.
How heavy is St. Edward's crown used for the moment of crowning?
Yeah.
Yes.
B.
B, £4.9.
Yeah.
What is the Queen's favourite cake said to be? No, Dundee cake. Dundee cake, which is A. Why are Monty, Willow and Holly special?
Go on, say it.
A, they appeared with Daniel Craig in James Bond.
Yeah, keep going.
The royal estate at Windsor usually accommodates around 1,500 Lomond Browns. What are they? They are chickens. They are hens.
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 Yeah. Well done. Have a tot up. Let's see who got the most points.
Yeah.
And we can just give you a clap or a free donut or something.
You can just give us something. What's next?
That's right, I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, then we go inside.
Yeah, it's time to finish, huh?
Can I sing it inside now?
Yeah. Right, did anybody get 20 out of 20? No. Anybody get more than 15? No. More than 10? Oh, right, hang on, right. More than 10, how many did you get? 14. 12. 12. 11. Any advances on 14? No. Well done, Rachel's table. Just give them a clap. Well done, Rachel's table. Excellent. Right, we cannot close the celebration for the Queen without singing the national anthem. So if you are able to stand, please do. If not, just give it your gusto from sitting down. God of creation, designer of sameness and diversity, of time and eternity, we give you thanks and praise. Today we especially pray for Queen Elizabeth. In this year of Jubilee, grant her your gifts of love, joy and peace, as she continues in faithful obedience to you, her God, and in devoted service to the people of these islands and those of the Commonwealth. Illuminate her path that she may walk in your way, now and all the days of her life. This we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Hopefully you've all had a copy of this as you've come in. If you haven't had a copy for your household or family, please take one. If there are spares, please take one for your next door neighbour. There should be more than what's out there or what's the people in here. Please do take one, all about the Queen, a gift from the church to you and to those around us. Every person in the village or every household in the village has had one of these as well. Please do take one or take one for somebody else as well. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Leaving her home on what must surely be the greatest day of her life, Queen Elizabeth drives to her coronation. All night through, indeed longer than that, crowds have waited for this moment as the golden coach appears in view for the first time. The long planning, the careful rehearsals, the flurry of preparations, all have reached their fruition in this dramatic opening of a dramatic and historic occasion. Imagine, if you can, our young Queen's feelings, as with her husband beside her, she is slowly borne towards the hours-long ceremony of pomp, circumstance and dedication, consecrating her as Queen of all the nations and all the races over which she holds sovereignty. Preceded by her guards and escorted by her cavalry, she drives through cheering crowds down the gaily decorated avenue of the Mall. So, on past Admiralty Arch and through Trafalgar Square, perhaps the focal point of London's affectionate homage to its Queen. The great procession passed this spot 3 times, and those of the crowd who didn't get a good view now had 2 more chances later on. Down Northumberland Avenue to the Embankment, where the streets were lined with wildly cheering schoolchildren. What a spectacle of colour and pageantry it was as the head of the Queen's procession approached the Abbey. Scarlet and gold and blue, set off by the pale spring green of the trees and the multicoloured panorama of the rejoicing crowds. A Queen was coming to her crowning, and her people, love and affection overfilling their hearts, added their voices to the martial music and the pealing of bells. On the steps of the specially built annex, the Earl Marshal of England stands ready to receive his sovereign. From the roaring of the multitude into the quiet solemnity of the great Abbey steps Her Majesty. The moment of coronation is nigh. Uplifting, inspiring strains of music and a vast and varied congregation of guests await the Queen as she passes up the nave of the great cathedral, and the cry, "Vivat!" rings out from the scholars of Westminster School. The peers of the realm, including Prince Philip, are already in their places. The Queen moves past them on her way to the chair of his state, which she is to occupy for the early part of the ceremony. The first necessary step in the traditional ritual is that the Queen should be accepted by the people. The Archbishop of Canterbury addresses the congregation.
Sirs, I here present unto you Queen Elizabeth, your undoubted Queen. Wherefore all you who are come this day to do your homage and service, are you willing to do the same?
The people have recognized their sovereign, and now the Archbishop administers the coronation oath.
Madam, is Your Majesty willing to take the oath?
I am willing.
Will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the Union of South Africa, Pakistan, and Ceylon, and of your possessions and the other territories to any of them belonging or pertaining, according to their respective laws and customs?
I solemnly promise so to do.
The promise is sealed at a faldstool before the altar. The Queen kisses the book and signs the form of oath. The Bible itself is then presented to her by the moderator of the Church of Scotland.
Here is wisdom, this is the royal law, these are the lively oracles of God.
The Queen's crimson robe is removed. A canopy of cloth of gold is brought forward by 4 Knights of the Garter as she takes her seat in King Edward's chair. And here, in the most mysterious of the rites of coronation, the Archbishop anoints her with holy oil and consecrates her to her great office. When the congregation again see their Queen, the character of this consecration is symbolized by arraying her in vestments resembling those of a priest. The sword of state is brought from the altar to be delivered to the Queen. Presently she rises and carries it back to the altar in token of submission of her authority to God. Now the majestic emblem of the robe royal is placed around her shoulders, enveloping her in gold. She receives the orb, symbol of the dominion of the cross over the world, and the 2 scepters, one with the cross, the other with the dove. The last and grandest symbol of all is the crown of St. Edward. It is blessed by the Archbishop at the altar. The climax of the ceremony has arrived, when the Archbishop gently sets this splendid emblem on the Queen's head. And the trumpets sound. The crowned Queen now moves from King Edward's chair to mount her throne, which is set back in the middle of the theatre. Having made her promises to her people, it is the turn of her people to make their promises of allegiance to her. First, the Archbishop pays his homage. Among the lay lords, the first to declare himself is her own husband, Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Rising, he kisses the Queen's cheek and touches the Queen's crown in token of his readiness to help her bear its burden. After him comes the Queen's uncle, the Duke of Gloucester. Homage is likewise paid by the senior peer in each degree, swearing faith and truth to bear unto the Queen, to live and die against all manner of folks. The whole ceremony has been enacted within the framework of a communion service. And now, the Queen leaves her throne to take the sacrament. This is not to be photographed, but in humility and piety, she draws near to the altar to receive it in company with her husband at the hands of the Archbishop. So, the ceremony ended. After a short pause, processions are formed for the departure from the Abbey. The Queen, now arrayed in royal purple and wearing the imperial state crown, leaves the chapel to the strains of the national anthem. With the sceptre in her right hand, and in her left hand the orb, Queen Elizabeth II passes from the Abbey, consecrated and dedicated to her life work by the solemn and hallowed ritual of coronation. The crowning over, the Queen emerges to find that the weather had been unkind, but in spite of the gloom and the wet, Her Majesty looked radiant as she moved to the coach. The rain certainly didn't damp the enthusiasm of the crowds as they watched the procession. Men from all corners of the Commonwealth, men of all races and creeds, marching in honor of their Queen. And there was a special cheer for Sir Winston and his charming wife as they passed through Trafalgar Square. But apart from the Queen herself, the biggest welcome was undoubtedly for the Queen Mother, driving with Princess Margaret, on a day which must have held for her proud, poignant memories of her own coronation. Prince Charles and Princess Anne watched enthralled as the troops swung down the Mall around the Victoria Memorial. What a gay, colourful pageant. What a demonstration of heartfelt rejoicing in which all countries owing allegiance to Her Majesty took part. From Canada, the Mounties, brilliant in their scarlet tunics, capturing the imagination of young and old alike. And the men and women of the services, marching splendidly, as befitted so great an occasion. Now the moment of moments arrives. Resplendent in the regalia with which she had been invested so solemnly, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, with her consort beside her, concludes her royal progress.
As this day draws to its close, I know that my abiding memory of it will be not only the solemnity and beauty of the ceremony, but the inspiration of your loyalty and affection. I thank you all from a full heart. God bless you all.
The final scene. The royal family assembled together on the palace balcony to receive the acclamation of their subjects and the Air Force's salute on Coronation Day. And so, this day of days most memorable comes to an end, and with it begins a new era, the new Elizabethan age, an age in which the love and faith and hope of all the Commonwealth rest on the slim shoulders of the beautiful Queen who has just been crowned. Long may she reign.